Bobby Earl was Jamaica's first World Cup Finals goal scorer.
Jamaica for the very first time on the final of the CONCACAF Gold Cup.
It's a lovely ball. Havana Salon round the keeper and in! What a brilliant goal for Jamaica!
It's Thursday afternoon and we're back again for another episode of Reggae Football Nation, the only football show that informs you about all things reggae football. Reggae Football Nation is produced by the JFF, the Jamaica Football Federation, and takes an in-depth look at football in Jamaica. Each week, we discuss trending issues and major developments with the administrators, coaches, players, stakeholders, as well as the history makers. I'm your host, Tamara Barrow, but you can call me T. And as usual, we have lots in store for you on today's podcast. Remember to keep up to date with all the happenings. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at JFF_football, Facebook at Jamaica Football Federation, and SoundCloud at JFF Live. At the JFF, if we're not football, we not play. Stay with us.
Hey, my name is Tajay Dixon.
General here.
My name is Wayne Walker.
Joseph Vargas.
Dr. Romaine Edwards.
This is Andre Blake, goalkeeper for the Philadelphia Union.
The physician for the Waterhouse Football Club.
Superman Sons, 4-time Olympian.
And I am from Panama.
Trinidad and Tobago.
Canada.
Bahamas.
Portmore, St. Kitts.
Kingston, Jamaica.
I'm staying home to help stop the spreading of COVID-19.
Stay home as much as possible.
Sanitize what you have to sanitize. You wash your hands.
Stay inside. Follow the right fashion. Follow the rules.
Take this time to improve in some areas in my life. As a player, as a person, as a son.
As the minister will say, there's life after COVID.
To all the communities out there, Firehouse, keep safe.
We're playing in a game that feels like the World Cup finals. We're playing against the coronavirus and we have to win.
Please remember, we are in this together.
We are in this together.
We're in this together.
One love. One love. Love you all.
The football world was thrown into complete lockdown with the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. All competitions as well as leagues were brought to a halt, and since then, none have resumed, with some calling quits until next season. The lockdown has greatly impacted the lives and operation of many of whom football is their bread and butter, not just locally but regionally and internationally. This week, Reggae Football Nation chatted with a few Premier League coaches about the impact the COVID-19 pandemic has been having on their respective clubs and players. Let's listen to part one of the discussion. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you for being a part of this edition of Reggae Football Nation. Today, we're going to be looking at COVID-19 and the impact it's having on the clubs here in Jamaica. As we know, Jamaica is one of the top semi-professional clubs in the Caribbean region, and a lot of persons all over the Caribbean and the world watch the Red Stripe Premier League, and your clubs are household names. For the last 2 months, no football has been played around the world. So we want to look at how the clubs are coping and how is that going to affect your finances and your structure going on.
All right, my name is Rudolph Speed. I'm the sporting director at Cavalier. At this particular time, all our players are on lockdown, basically. We have tried to send them some type of physical directions to be able to continue to keep some level of fitness. We're looking at about a 60-65% fitness level. But we're just focusing on strength work mainly that they can do from inside, and just a few outside activities that they can do still in the vicinity of where they live. And if the league decided to stop at this particular point, then the players would have a very, very long break, unusual to what we normally do when we have a break of probably about 2-3 months. This time, we're not sure what the break would be. It could be 4, it could be 6 months. So we're just keeping our fingers crossed.
Coach Alex Thomas, head coach of the Honor Garden Football Club. At this time, our players are on lockdown, and what we do, we communicate in our WhatsApp group. We are sending training programs to them, and they have to send their videos in to make sure that they're doing it. But it's very difficult for some players to do it on a regular basis. But we're trying to do our best to keep everyone on a fitness level, per se.
Yes, Andrew Price, Humble Lions head coach. We are basically following the dictates of the Ministry of Health and Wellness and the government, whereby players are locked down. So whatever activities that we have the players doing, we send them programs through our WhatsApp group. It's mainly to do strengthening and core work, because a lot of the work that we would want to do, we'd want to do it in a group setting. But because we are unable to do it in a group setting, we have given them various core exercises and strength exercises that they can do within the confines of their homes. Because a lot of them lived in different kind of circumstances. They may live in a community or a particular dwelling where there are several people within that dwelling. And we really want to take the health situation very paramount. So what we try and do is give them a lot of exercises that they can do indoor where they don't have to interact with people.
Yeah, the name is Ludlow Bernard. Well, clearly right now nothing is happening as you would expect. However, we try to maintain contact with players and try to, as best as possible, motivate them to retain their condition and shape, because it is very difficult and probably even demotivating at this time to really maintain a physical condition, not knowing when the league will resume, So we try to make that contact, we try to make the links and encourage them to continue their workout. And so far, I've had a fair response. Not everybody would probably have been giving me the response I would have wanted as at this time, since the competition ceased, But we are managing. We're just basically awaiting some good word so that we can step up activities.
So a lot of our international competitions have already been shut down. So I presume that the Caribbean will be soon following that trend in just awarding whoever was at the top of the table with the championship title for this year. Let's just hypothetically say that the season is complete. How would that affect your club?
Right. So if the season is complete, then definitely we would just shut down the operation totally until further notice. What it would mean that we could tell the players basically to stop training, because we're trying to keep some level of fitness just in case the season resume. But if that's gonna be the case and it's shut down, then the player would just tell him to cease training and then try to establish a point when we would pick up back to start training for the new season.
Well, personally, with 4 rounds left in the competition and the playoffs, I don't believe that we should resign ourselves to ending the season. What we need to do is to look at how we treat the pandemic in the country, and as soon as it is possible and viable to start playing, then we should play. I believe that even if we have to start the season, the 2020-21 season, a lot later than we normally start our regular season, I think we should endeavor as much as possible to complete the remainder of the season. As you can see, a lot of countries are looking at trying to start back the league, whether behind closed doors or start clubs training. And I think it's going to really depend on how our nation reacts to the whole pandemic and how quickly we can get to that curve and start seeing a slowdown of the increase in the pandemic. So it's all a wait and see game. I believe that it's a little bit too early to make a decision on whether to close down or to continue the league. But I think we should endeavor to at least complete the remainder of the season, seeing that we have passed almost 3/4 of the season. So with 4 games left in the round and then the playoffs, I think that we should endeavor to try and finish the season.
Yeah, well, just to answer the question that you asked, just like what Roddy said, that we will just close down activities and just prepare ourselves for the start of the next season. However, we still remain optimistic that there's every possibility that the season can resume. I still believe that there is time. The only disadvantage would be that the turnaround time would be a lot shorter for the new season. I heard Andrew making the point about probably even starting the league a little later. But I think you see, Andrew, there can be some issues where that is concerned, because I think there's going to be a packed calendar the 2021 football season. But with World Cup qualifiers, I think there's Nations League, possibly Gold Cup, and as well as the under-20s, so we have to be very careful. But just going back to the point, I remain very hopeful that the league can resume. Still believing that there's a lot of time that we can play with. June is still a good period. Could condense all of these games into, like for instance, the remaining 4 games or 5 games. We could condense them into a 2-week period. And then also with respect to the playoffs, we could also condense those into probably an 18-day period with like a 7-day break in between, just to allow teams that would be advancing to recuperate. Those are my thoughts.
Yeah, for me, I know it's a wait and see game, but I would prefer the competition to call off and to continue for the 2020-21 season, because looking at the club-wise financially, club struggles, at this moment, to pay, especially to pay the players, pay staff, and all of these things. So, for me, it will be a call-off situation for me.
Mr. Thomas, you set me straight into the meat of the matter in terms of finances, because a club cannot run without money. I know a lot of persons are not familiar with the financial structure of a club. So anybody, could you explain to us how the club is structured in terms of revenue, what comes in from the JFF, what is external revenue, so persons can understand when you say that, it's going to be a struggle financially to continue being optimistic. What does that sound like in terms of dollars and cents?
Well, the most consistent thing that we have as finances is that we get a subvention from the proceeds of the PLCA that is consistent. The government does assist us too through SDF. The JFF really provide regulatory governance, not really assistant to us. And then we earn money from like gate receipts. Some people are lucky to sell gears, and some people are even lucky to have like transfers overseas or loan fees from overseas clubs coming in for their players. So those are the main source of income. As you can see, all of those
as local sponsors
would be gone at this particular point. And basically it would be the club resources or individuals in the club who are left to foot the bill once the season is shut down.
One of the things we have to look at is that while we get that subvention from the PLCA with assistance also from the SDF through the government, each club individually has their own individual sponsors who assist them also. And as you know, with no football being played at this point in time, a lot of the sponsors are not going to be willing to give the type of support that they would normally give if we were in active competition. So it is definitely onus that belongs onto the owners of the club and the people who actually run the club and invest in the club, where they have to be taking up the blunt of the payments and salaries to staff and players for the period of shutdown. So yes, it is very difficult, and at the PLCA level it was decided that because this season had been suspended, that we would at least give the players 50% of their regular salary, a minimum of 50% of their regular salary until the league starts back. I know our current title sponsor, Red Stripe, they are desirous of completing the season. And one of the things that they are saying is that they cannot continue to give out the monthly subvention of sponsorship if the league isn't playing, because they are not going to be able to get their return on their investment. So they too are eagerly awaiting a resumption so that they can start giving the PLC some money that can be dispersed onto the club. So it's a very thin line, and it's a touch and go situation, and we really hope and pray that possibly this can complete it very quickly so that we can get back to start, because a lot of the players are feeling the pinch right now, not being able to get full salary, and the clubs are also feeling the pinch because they don't have the wherewithal to give full salary to the players, because there's no games playing. You can't take any intake at your gate to get revenue. You can't advertise for your sponsors, so it really puts the owners of the clubs in a very ticklish situation, and it's something that it's going to be very difficult to weather if we continue to prolong in this situation.
I can understand Alex's point, and of course that situation that he's faced with is not unfamiliar to all of the clubs. We do have the financial strain having to kind of fork out monies as at this time of the season, knowing that you don't have the ability to earn anything either from gate receipts, sponsorship, or even from the subventions of the JFF/PLCA as well as the government. So it really puts us in a very sticky situation. But at the end of the day, we are at the mercy of the government of Jamaica, because we are all dependent on them to really give us the timeline within which the economy will be, so to speak, freed up, so that would allow for games to continue. But then again, it's an economic burden that we probably would have to deal with. These are some of the things that we face with as administrators and football persons throughout the time. Not all the time it's going to be good, but it is indeed something worth pondering.
But when in your clubs, would you say like 50%, 70% of your players, you actually provide the income for them? How does it work in terms of financially supporting your players?
100%. I mean, that's what they do for a living, and they play football, because as you know, here in Jamaica, we're endeavoring to go into a professional situation where we become completely professional. So the players are actually, that's the only thing that they do, and that's their living. That's how they support their families. So they are feeling the pinch right now, and we really hope that we can see the situation adjust itself in the not too distant future. But wholeheartedly, it's the clubs that are responsible for the salaries of these players, and by extension, their families. And some families can turn out to be very large, depending on how many kids the players have. So, it's really a challenge for the players at this point in time. And, it's a challenge all around, because when the players are affected, it's probably 7 to 8 other people that are also affected in the household.
And I presume that is for all the other clubs that are in this discussion, right?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you'd have a few who probably, would rely on other sources, but those are in the extreme minority, and we do encourage them. But at the end of the day, we really can't afford for the football to be compromised. So they clearly have to know to balance their time when it comes to the other activities, because at the end of the day, our main aim as football persons is to try and professionalize the sport to the maximum here in Jamaica. And in doing so, it means that 100% of the time is required and to be devoted by the player towards the sport. So in the main, the players are wholeheartedly dependent on funds that the players.
Something fresh, something new, something different is coming to the JFF Live digital platform. You heard me. All your reggae football needs straight from the source. 3 informative, entertaining, and interesting programs to fill your weekly tank. Tuesdays and Thursdays at 12:30 p.m. It's Reggae Football Nation. Follow us on SoundCloud. Enter our weekly trivia. If on the football, we're not play. Reggae Football Nation, Reggae Football Live, Reggae Football in the streets. JFF Live, the energy, the culture, the vibes of Jamaican football. like, subscribe, or follow us on all social media platforms at Jamaica Football Federation. That is JFF_football. Jamaica Football Federation. Play hard, play fair, play for life.
Sunday, May 10th, the world celebrates Mother's Day. We at Reggae Football Nation would also like to show our love and support to all the shin guard finding, uniform washing, water getting, carpool driving, picture taking, every game going, always cheering Reggae Football moms. Happy Mother's Day from the JFF.
The JFF must recognize the contribution of all the mothers. Some would have played the role of significantly helping our young footballers, both males and females, and would have impacted our football programs in a most positive way. So the JFF certainly wants to use this opportunity to wish for all the mothers a very, very happy, pleasant, and productive Mother's Day.
Oh boy, it's that time again. Yeah, I know. I don't want to leave you too, but you know how things go. What an interesting discussion we started today on Reggae Football Nation. Join us for part 2 of the chat with the coaches on Tuesday's edition at 12:30 p.m. Set your reminders because you don't want to miss it. Reggae Football Nation is produced by the Jamaica Football Federation and I'm your host, Tamara. Remember, you can follow us on all our social media platforms, Instagram and Twitter at JFF_football, Facebook at the Jamaica Football Federation, and SoundCloud at Reggae Football Nation. If you're interested in becoming a partner of the JFF or even sponsoring Reggae Football Nation, contact us at 876-926-1182 or 876-929-8036. or 876-881-1814, or email us at jamff@hotmail.com. That is JAMFF@hotmail.com. Special thanks to Island Sports Network for the use of their We Are In This Together public service announcement. You can follow them on Instagram at Island Sports Net, the home of Caribbean sports highlights. So on behalf of our production team, I want to say thank you for staying with us on this week's Reggae Football Nation. Where for now football,
we now play.